Salute Knicks Nation. The streets are buzzing. Tonight, the New York Knicks picked up one of the best wins of the season. Right, with just 4 to play, the New York Knicks needed this one. And what a gritty, tough win on the road against a reeling Milwaukee Bucks. Heroic performances from this team tonight across the board. Jalen Brunson, MVP mode. Best player on the court tonight, best believe that. Leading the Knicks with 43 points tonight. Big contributions from Dante, DiVincenzo late. Bang, in the words of Mike Breen. And Bogdanovic stepped up late as well. Isaiah Hartenstein was a beast. OG Anunoby with 4 steals, 2 blocks. Right, let's chop this thing up with the best chat in the biz. Welcome in to the post-game live, ladies and gentlemen. What a victory as the New York Knicks dominated in the stats, in the rebounds, 50 rebounds, only 5 turnovers, 9 steals, and shot 48% from deep, right? 11-point hole at the half, and the New York Knicks performed this their best second half, in my opinion, on the road. Backs to the wall. A huge 8-2 run to start the fourth, with Brunson sitting. Credit to Deuce McBride, Bogey, and we had Hart back tonight, of course. He was big as well. But the defensive side is what got this win for the New York Knicks, right? We got stops. We planned and took the ball out of Giannis's hands as well. Bobby Portis got hot, but the New York Knicks just out-executed the Bucks and move into tied third after Cleveland lost today. And of course, we're within 1 game now of second with 4 to play. Man, this game was so huge, and given the circumstances now, and we can chop up the road ahead now. It's in a great position for the Knicks to take care of 4 of the next 4, 3 of the next 4, finish with maybe 50 wins, and maybe lock up a 3rd seed, right? 2nd seed still there for the New York Knicks, but this lets us know, man, how gritty, how tough this team is to beat, right? The Bucks in 2nd, we know they're in free fall. This is their 4th loss in a row now. Cleveland reeling as well. Great time, great chance to capitalize, and the New York Knicks did that, right? Jalen Brunson, right? The fact that he's not on a top 10 MVP list on NBA.com is criminal right now, because he is an MVP candidate, right? Up there with the best of them, man. Best player on the court tonight, 43 points. But look, credit to the grittiness. Defensively, Mitchell Robinson really is starting to show how much of a factor he's been. And I've been singing his praise, and talking about how much of an X factor, guys, Mitch is going to be. Right, but welcome in G-Man, buzzer beater, Daniel, what's up? Nick Streets, what a win, right? We really needed this one as we head back to Chi-Town for round 2 of our 3-game mini-series, right? And I want to get that one as well. Let's win out after this. And in terms of momentum, these are the kind of wins that spur you on to a huge postseason run, right? Quiet night from OG offensively, but I mean, the 4 steals, 2 blocks, a late strip on Giannis, defended him really well without fouling. The Knicks dealt with a lot of poor foul calls in the first half. I'm going to say the whistle improved in the second half, or the Knicks adjusted. The Knicks adjusted on how to play, these Bucks the best way. Really good effort, switching, cutting, and of course, allowing someone else to beat us. Bobby Portis was the guy that got hot, and we neutralized and shut down Giannis and Damian Lillard as well. So the Bucks have got problems, man. Of course, they did lose Chris Middleton, who didn't come back into the game with a mouth injury. He took a big hit and got a tooth knocked out as well. So hopefully he's okay, man. But look, that was a big factor. But in terms of the New York Knicks, I mean, right, what a way to to silence some doubt. After some of these poor losses, coming into this ball game, this was a game I knew the Knicks had an excellent chance. But it would have required their best game, executing, hitting shots, and they did it. Credit to them, they did everything in this one, led by Jalen Brunson with 16 of 32, fam, 50% from the field, right? And a 9 of 11, so he was getting some foul calls, not enough, but still finished with 43 points on a plus 11. And Dante DiVincenzo, man, right? He was huge, swishing and dishing towards the end. Dante DiVincenzo finished 8 of 14 and a 8 of 11 from deep, man. A whopping 72%. What a way to bounce back for DiVincenzo in terms of rebounds. 4, 3 assists, a steal, a block, 26 points, plus 15 in a team high, guys. No one wants to see the Knicks in the playoffs, and this is the reason why. You see tonight, backs to the wall, we have some of the best role players in the league surrounding an MVP candidate. We've got an all-defensive team, multiple all-defensive team stoppers. I think Mitch, whether he does or doesn't, he was on track to make a defensive team before the injury, and tonight showed why. And of course, OG Anunoby, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves defensively. 4 steals is huge in a game like this, right? And Mitch, 3 offensive rebounds as well as 3 blocks and a plus 6 as well. CC says it, man. Gutty win, much needed. Yep. Middleton's always injured. That's the story of the Bucks too, as Buzzer says. Gee, man, salute. How about Mitch getting back to his blockness monster ways, right? That is so big for this team. Not gonna lie. I think obviously whether he's going to continue to come off the bench, but that's just going to help the Knicks in multiple ways because he's going to be able to dominate that matchup. He's going to be able to spell Hartenstein as well. And we said it, man. Best center rotation in the league defensively, and in terms of the depth the Knicks have, it was on full display. Credit to Bogdanovic as well, right? 2 really good games, then his worst game, and then he bounces back with a really, really good game. 6 of 9, really valuable minutes down the stretch. Hit a huge size up 3 on Bobby Portis, right, to put the Knicks up 10. Timeout. Doc Rivers, fam, and 4 losses in a row for the Bucks, right? But we get back to winning ways, right? And the 15 points from Bogdanovic is something we're going to need more of. And with that, we'll also talk about the road ahead. But Alec Burks, as reported by Steph Bondy, it appeared that Alec Burks is out of the rotation on path to a healthy DNP, right? So we talked about it after the last game. I think that was the boiling point for a lot of people, and I think Tibbs adjusted really well. Didn't play Alec Burks in this game. Defensively, he would have hurt us. Offensively, he hasn't been hitting. But Bojan Bogdanovic at least has had 3 good games out of the last 4 as well. So more of that, much needed. Now, in terms of the standings, the New York Knicks will obviously climb, tied for 3rd now, above Cleveland, who lost today, right? A half a game above Cleveland, right? And of course, eyeing off that 2nd seed now, right? This was a one game swing from the Knicks and the Bucks, as where 2nd seed is really a chance, right? We have the Bulls, and then of course we play the Bulls, and then we've got the Boston Celtics in Boston, and then back to MSG for Brooklyn, and the final game against the Bulls. So I mean, knowing the fact that Boston might rest some guys in that 3rd to last, the Knicks could win out from here on out and get to 50 wins, right? And that would be seriously coach of the year kind of stuff for Tom Thibodeau. To get 50 wins in the East with all the injuries, Mitch, Randall, losing OG for so long, new pieces integrated. I mean, what a performance from top to bottom so far as well, but plenty of work still to be done, fam. As the chat's buzzing right now, smash that like button. Knicks Nation, we ride or die with this squad. And this is one of the, up there with the top 10 wins of the season, top 5 in terms of meaningfulness, in terms of stake at hand. And what a clutch victory, man. Dante Inferno, says Tay Mac. 100%, man. What a pickup Dante has been. And we're going to talk about him and give out his flowers. But the first man up has to be the captain, man. He's closing in on a Knicks record for the season of 30-point games. I think he might just fall short. He's 4 or 5 away from the top, Richie Guerin. But Jalen Brunson, I mean, what a season, right? He really should be a top 3, a top 5 MVP candidate right now with 43 points. He lit the Bucks up, as he has been, right? He's been a trend. You know, Damian Lillard, he can't guard really anybody, let alone Jalen Brunson. But Brunson took advantage, got a little bit tunnel vision, but of course, you know, he was hot, you know, in that third. In the fourth, I thought we forced it a little, but fortunately our defense got it done and we got the stops. But Brunson was 9 of 11 from the free throw line, always aggressive, 8 assists. That's our point guard, man, 43 and 8 on just 1 turnover as well. What is your grade for Jalen Brunson, right? Tony says, need to win the 2 Chicago games remaining. Yeah, I think we will. I think we will now. And look, this is a momentum boost in terms of just, you know, winning a big on the road is huge. But in terms of beating the team that we can almost catch for second seed, I think that's just huge, and it's gonna, you know, set us up for a better seeding and a better chance to go as deep as possible, right? But on a night where most people around the league would say either Dame or Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player on the court, Jalen Brunson proved them all wrong. He was the best player on the court tonight, right? And we have a puncher's chance every night. A++ performance. This is a legacy type performance today because, you know, Giannis is a former MVP. We knocked off a heavyweight. The Bucks are in second. We just knocked them off in their building. We add further insult to injury for them. 4 in a row. Doc Rivers reeling. And Jalen Brunson was clutch. Man, I only wish this game was on TNT, national TV, right, to add insult to their injury, right, for disrespecting Jalen Brunson. I mean, what a game, fam. And we're going to talk about the referees as you guys are on point and buzzing right now. Salute Michael Drake, Prezi, what's up? The league is going to continue to be disrespectful and just not give us our just due. Yep. Tibbs, Coach of the Year, Rose, Exec of the Year. Love to see us get that 50 burger. Yep, no doubt about it, man. In my eyes, this season's been, you know, it's obviously been compromised, we know, for many reasons. Injuries, officiating and all that. But the fact that the Knicks are still making what is such a magical season and could be the best season in a decade, getting to 50 wins, speaks volumes to the talent, the heart, the belief, and all of those things. And like you said, the coaching, executive of the year, the decisions made as well. But it all started, obviously, when we got Randall, we started a movement. But when we got Jalen Brunson, right, that put the Knicks on another trajectory, right? Yeah, and people around the league, you know, if they're paying attention, they know how special he is. The people that don't give us our just dues are just haters right now. Because, yeah, Brunson is a better player than Damian Lillard right now. I don't want to hear Damian Lillard be put above Jalen Brunson on these tiers anymore right now. And not to disrespect Giannis at all, because I know, you know, he has his flaws, but I believe, you know, you can't put Brunson below Giannis, right? At the very least, if you're doing your, you know, superstar tier pyramid of the NBA, for me, Brunson now has to be on the same tier, at least, as Giannis, right? Obviously, Giannis has had a little bit more help most of his way. He's had a Middleton, you know, a co-star. Now he's got Dame. He had Drew Holiday. With Brunson, there's no excuses, man. He's got role players around him, and he's lifting us up right now. And this was, yeah, a legacy game, man. I won't forget about this one, man. Not for a long, long time, man. And as I said, I think this is going to pushed the Knicks on for a deep playoff run now. And we see glimpses now with OG starting to get back healthy into the rhythm. And the same with Mitchell Robinson, man. He was a huge impact on tonight's ball game defensively with multiple blocks on Giannis, deterring, rebounding as well. So yeah, we're going to give out a lot of flowers tonight, mate. Maybe another game ball as well to go with that. But, I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo, man. What do you guys think? You know, is he the Greek fraud, right? His game is flawed. You know, he's an MVP candidate. You know, he's a former champion. He's got respect for me. But down the stretch, right, he's suspect, right? No doubt about it. In terms of the shot, the free throw shooting is a little off as well. But for Brunson to be undersized and be an underdog, right, it's a special story, man. It's like you couldn't script anything better outside of maybe Rocky in terms of, you know, Rocky 1, the underdog story. Jalen Brunson is that true underdog, right? And he's rising above everyone, you know. I mean, he's so far above, you know, a Trae Young. You know, he's so far above the likes of, you know, Murray, I believe, you know, above DeMar DeRozan, those kind of guys now. He's, you know, really in that tier of a top 10 player in the league, you know. You know, there's not many players I would pick ahead of Jalen Brunson, put it that way. If you're starting a franchise, there might be 2, 3 guys that come to mind before you think about Brunson. If you're a neutralist, of course, if you're a Knicks fan, you might be picking Brunson first. But if you're an NBA neutralist, you know, and you're starting a brand new franchise, there might just be less than a handful of guys that you pick ahead of this guy right now. He's leading top 4 in NBA scoring on the season. And low-key, he's so tough as well. See, a lot of point guards get their points, they're flashy, all of that, but they're weak or they're soft. You know, talking about your Trays, your Hardens, you know, Dame soft defensively. Brunson plays both sides of the floor, and he just plays so hard as well. So, look, credit to this man. He deserves, yeah, he will get all NBA. Right, it'll be a criminal. It'll be a crime if he doesn't, you know, get that. But what he wants to do is to win. You could see it, right? Everything he does in terms of preparing and leading this team is for wins, right? Not just for personal accolade. He's all about the team first, right? 8 assists is great. 6 rebounds, big time. Right, 11 free throws. What do you think, guys? He could have had 20 free throws tonight. Like, honestly, that's how much of a tough whistle he's getting. But to sit here in the 78th game of the season, and he's basically gassed, and he's putting in heroic performances, right? Some of the best in franchise history, right? Add this one to the books, man. 43 points for Jalen Brunson on the road against a reeling second seed Bucks, right? Yeah, Mitch also with a few tip backs, says Nick Yak. 100% we're going to be scary, man. Who do you want to face now? That it's quite likely we end up facing Cleveland. Maybe we finish third and face the Heat or the Pacers. Who knows how far some of these teams can free fall, because the Cavs, they've got some tough games coming up now, man. The Cavs have got, I think, 3 left. As I take a quick look, the Cavs have got the Grizzlies in Memphis as well, right? They might want to end the year on a positive note, and then the Cavs have to head to Indiana after that, and then they finish in Charlotte. So there's no guarantee the Cleveland pick up more than just one more win, right? They might not even beat the Hornets the way they're playing with Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and Grant Williams and co. as well. So look, no win's going to come easy. As you guys said, the 2 remaining against the Bulls, I really want to get. The Brooklyn one, I think we're just going to get up for that, and we're going to put the beat down on them. The Boston one is going to be, you know, balancing on whether or not, you know, they play how many guys, right? But otherwise, the Knicks can win the next 4. We keep it buzzing, ladies and gents. The Knicks streets are buzzing, the chat's popping, and the Knicks picked up their 46th win on the season. And do you guys know what that means? We officially hit the overs on the Las Vegas preseason prediction, 45.5, right? Shout out to the believers, the people that kept the faith, the people that put their money where their mouth is as well. 45.5. Vegas is wrong on that one, man. And it's embarrassing because if the Knicks were healthy, we'd be 50 wins easily over right now. But hey, that just means that, Brunson continues to prove everyone wrong, and you could add Vegas to the list, right? Clutch, he had to come into the fourth quarter a little earlier than anticipated, but this was a must-win game, and I thought that was a good decision from Tom Thibodeau. The bench did outstanding to get onto an 8-2 run to start the fourth as well. We'll credit Bogey again and the bench, but we had to get Brunson back in there, and he helped seal the deal, right? Good ball movement. We found DiVincenzo for those huge 2-3s that broke the backs of the Milwaukee Bucks, right? He's Brunson's got to be up there with the toughest cover defensively, with the likes of Luka Doncic, with the likes of LeBron in terms of just a 1v1 cover, right? He'll light you up, and I think we're going to prepare for the playoffs because whoever we do face, right, it's pretty clear what the scouting report is going to be, right? Shut down Jalen Brunson and take the ball out of his hands, but that's just going to allow other guys to thrive, and like tonight, other guys did thrive, man. We'll hit up next on DiVincenzo, 8 of 14, 8 of 11, 72% from three, man. He was reigning in Brew City tonight, right? Only got to the line twice, picked up 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a block, 26 huge points on a plus 15 team high, right? Shout out to Dante, good bounce back and a great performance. The threes were huge to stave off a run because, man, you knew the Bucks, they were desperate, right? They didn't want to lose this one, of course, but something's just not right, and it's been that way from the offset, right? With the Bucks, they obviously lose defense. They lose, Chris Middleton in terms of health, all of those things. But the Knicks with extra depth and role players, guys stepping up into next positions, is what helps this team tick. And this season, right, credit to Leon Rose for one of the signings of the offseason. For a guy who's only earning $13 million, incredible piece of business that the Knicks did, getting Dante. Our ceiling would be completely limited without him at the 2 spot. No disrespect to Quentin Grimes, but he still has a little bit of ways to go to reach the levels that we're seeing from Dante in terms of play consistency, shooting. He's broken franchise records this season. He's had career records as well. And he's only 27 years old, so he's coming into his prime right now. Still with 3 more years on this cost-friendly contract, man. Dante DiVincenzo was big. He'll get a second game ball for me and an A+, right? 8 of 11 from deep, right, with 2 clutch threes late. You get the clutch badge and the star for most improved. And he really should be in that conversation because, coming into this season, he hadn't hit as many, 30-point games and 3-point shooting has gone to another level with this team. So credit to the coaching as well for putting him in this position to break these records. Shirley's in the building. What's up? Shirley says, I was not worried about this game because the Bucks cannot stop JB. They know they cannot, right? They can't stop anyone right now. If I can be critical on Giannis, his defense has kind of dropped off a bit. You don't see that effort, the motor, right? I think, Giannis is playing a little bit uninspired right now. I don't know if he's, feeling the effects of, not getting enough from Chris Middleton, the poor defense from Damian Lillard. Now, they will be a tough first round team, but I could really see them getting knocked out. I really can. You know, some of these lower teams like to punch hard, and the Heat can come in like a heavyweight, knock them out. Orlando would be a cool series, seeing Orlando Milwaukee, right? Old guard versus new guard. You know, that would be a cool series for me. I would even like to see a Cleveland Bucks series as well. See how Spider Mitchell and Garland do against these Milwaukee Bucks. But look, it was Bobby Portis for them that was trying to keep them afloat, right? It wasn't Dame, it wasn't Giannis, and that was the credit to the New York Knicks defense, right? And with that said, we're going to hit on the next guy. We obviously got Josh Hart back and love some of the things he did. And we're going to hit on Isaiah Hartenstein next, because this was one of his best games as a Knick, right, in my opinion. He was just so huge down the stretch with 10 rebounds, went 8 of 9, like could hardly miss in terms of the floater game, was clutch around the bucket, 18 points on a +7, right? And in terms of a steal, an assist, 3 offensive rebounds, 10 total, and got to the free throw line 3 times as well. I mean, just a difference maker. That's the biggest compliment I can give to Isaiah Hartenstein. You know, he play makes, he's efficient around the rim, he's got a great touch. Defensively, I don't think he's moving as well as he will be. You know, obviously we need more minutes from him, and I think they're maybe just keeping him down a little bit before the playoffs, but then I think they will go back up to maybe 35 minutes, right, in the postseason. Our plus minus when this man is on the court is huge, and it can't be understated, right? It's a luxury now to have Mitch back, and we're going to give Mitch a lot of flowers, but when Mitch did go down, it was obviously Isaiah Hartenstein that, right, helped us throughout the season and get to the position we're in. Right, today, man, he was clutch, 8 of 9. He's a Knicks warrior, a gladiator for us. Battles in the paint, does a lot of unselfish work, dirty work, makes his teammates better. That's what it's all about, fam. And look, I'll be absolutely devastated if he doesn't stay a New York Knick. He needs to stay. We need to pay him as much as we can pay. If the decision is out of our hands, then so be it. But as long as the Knicks come to the table with a reasonable contract extension, I can't see any reason why Isaiah would want to leave right now. Right, he might even be the starter next season. We'll see how the playoffs develop. Fam. Yeah, the story of the night, man. Nick Yak says, I was worried down 11 at the half. Could have easily got away from us, this one. Yeah, I was frustrated in that second. Really, no lies. Nothing was going our way, you know. You could see the effort, you could see the energy, but the calls were going the other way. You know, players were kind of, you know, going through the motions. Yeah, it was all set to just be another frustrating night, you know. But whatever happened at the halftime break, right, you know, whether they had conversations or whether they were just quiet in the locker room and came out and just handled their business, something changed early in that third, right? It was an amazing start to the third quarter, really, which set us off on the right foot from the beginning. And Isaiah Hartenstein, man, the floater game was big early in the third, and the Knicks took the lead by 4 points, right? Jalen Brunson finished with 37 at the end of the third. Mitch with big blocks, split the free throw. Guys started to shoot hot, and we won that third quarter, 39-24. It was one of the biggest quarters of the season for me as well, so shout out. iStream gives Divo an A+, buzzer beater, Dante A+. Yep. Deuce, OG, and Mitch was awesome defensively, says Hidalgo. Yeah, 100%, man. What an identity in terms of defensive players as well. Even Divo gets after it. And Josh Hart, great to have Hart back. We'll hit on him in a minute. Buzzer says Tuesday is Ali versus Frazier, number 2. Yeah, good hyping it up, man. Good hype, man. I think The Bulls at home, they know the final one is at New York. They're going to fight tooth and nail to try to win this one. And of course, they're trying to hold on to the 9th spot. But the Knicks have other ambitions, man, and that is to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Yep. Yeah, I kind of feel the same, man. As Stillman says, if I was the Bucks org, I'd be a bit worried about Giannis. I'd be very worried he's checked out. Yeah, defensively, I just noticed he's not the same player locked in. And look, players go through their ebbs and flows, 4-game losing streak. But tonight was a game to really show up for them, and yeah, he didn't show up. Yeah, I'd be very worried. Obviously, guys around him are, in his eyes, will probably feel like they're failing him. Chris Middleton can't stay healthy, and Dame is a liability right now. But the complete opposite for us, and this guy is one of the best role players in the league, earned himself a starting spot in this league. Whether it is with the Knicks or not, we hope it is, but Isaiah Hartenstein is playing like a true starting quality NBA big man, right? He gets an A+ for me. I mean, the amount of times he hit clutch floaters, to keep the Knicks back in it or to give us the slight edge. And in terms of how he helps the Knicks function on offense is key. Guys, you may not have seen, but Brunson did, refer to it in the post-game walk-off interview. And he talked about how, unlocking the zone, the defense, Isaiah cutting, to the front and finding the guys cutting, right? It's so tough for the defense to key in on JB. But also, you've got to worry about Isaiah flashing to the free throw and then getting assists and playmaking as well. And he can also put the ball on the floor and make multiple plays as well. So, I mean, we don't win this ball game without him as well, right? But all I can do is give him an A+, right? We'll keep the game balls with JB and Dante. But, I mean, he was as critical to this win as those guys as well. Michael Drake says, iHeart A+. Leon Rose, exec of the year, bringing iHeart to New York. You said it, man. The signing was really polarized in the beginning. Well, firstly, some people didn't really even know his game. He was an underrated signing, $8 million. People thought we overpaid for a backup. But the Knicks, Leon Rose, saw the vision. They knew that he was a guy rising up, with a chance to be a starter in the league. And that's what you do. Sometimes you got to pay a little bit more to get the guy that you think is going to be that guy. And this season, Isaiah Hartenstein's been that guy as well. And again, we're about to hit on Mitch and the impact he's going to have. Before we do that, Buzzer says CT Randall had surgery yet. It hasn't been disclosed, but I'm going to assume he probably has it probably first thing tomorrow if he hasn't already, right? There's no... The Knicks aren't going to delay it, fam. So I haven't heard the report, but I think they will be getting it done ASAP if he hasn't already had it. Because, of course, it's a 5-month, recovery, and I think they'll want him ready for, the preseason, of course. So no news on Randall and the surgery yet, but we hope all goes well, and I think he'll be ready for next season as well. As we keep it buzzing, that's 3 A+. Rank this win, guys, in the chat, replay squad. Tell me how big this win was in this season for you. For me, it feels relief, elation, excitement, obviously pride, to beat, but it also feels sweet, to beat the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that's had the edge on us as a franchise for so long, with a cornerstone piece in Giannis, a guy that Knicks Nation had been clamoring for so long. And it just feels like we've turned the page, because we have a guy like Jalen Brunson, who I said should be referred to as the same tier as a Giannis, right? In terms of, stature around this league. Giannis has obviously won MVP. He's won a title, and that is next up on Jalen Brunson's to-do list. But in terms of just talent, in terms of just affecting your team's wins and losses, Jalen Brunson is right up there, So for where we're going as a franchise and where the Bucks might be going, I think tonight's win was symbolic, right? This could be the turning of the tide in terms of next season, when fully healthy, the New York Knicks would ideally be, referred to as the second best team in the East by everybody, and the Bucks are going to start to slide right now. It's clear that they're missing that juice. They just don't have it, man. They're aging. And I think, tonight's, win was symbolic. It was the turning of the tide in terms of the Knicks franchise going up and the Milwaukee Bucks franchise going down, right? How much down remains to be seen, but they're clearly not where they were, right, last season. This season they made big changes, of course. I think it was a questionable move. I think Drew Holiday obviously complemented them a bit better, but I could still understand why they went for Dame, right? But look, having said that, right, they did what they thought was the right thing, but it hasn't worked out, and I'm glad we didn't get Dame. I think Leon Rose knew what was up, and he didn't go for Dame, and he didn't go for Harden as well. Some people were still thinking, should the Knicks go for Harden? But there was quite a few people against that, So the next man up, right? It's his third game back. No feeling of the effects, obviously, of the layoff. The shooting has still got to come along, though. He's got to find the rhythm. But as good as advertised is OG Anunoby, right? He had his fingerprints all over tonight's ball game, right? With 4 steals and 2 blocks, right? He gets the gold star. He's an all-defensive team player together with, Mitch, I think before he went down, was on path. And I think Isaiah Hartenstein could be considered an all-defensive team type player as well. So the Knicks are building something special. Obviously, Deuce McBride as well is a maestro on the defensive side. But look, OG, I don't really care about the points tonight. Obviously we need him to hit some clutch shots. And 0 of 5, 2 of 10 is poor. But when he's still impacting winning and helping us out, right, you love to still see him back. Obviously the minutes tonight went straight back up, 37 minutes, which was big. We needed it. And I think Tibbs was trying to match his minutes with, of course, Giannis, right? So that was a smart decision, once again, from Tom Thibodeau. And all the credit in the world to OG. He's fought all the ways back. We are 16-3 with OG in the lineup, right? Well, actually, we lost the last Bulls game, so we might be 16-4. If it's 16-3, 16-4, it's still an incredible record, and he is an X factor heading into the playoffs. Best believe that, right? He's a guy who will help shut down the other team's best players, and that's going to be so key in the playoffs, man. If it's Paolo in round 1 against the Magic, it might be against Donovan Mitchell. We has to shut him down. It might be a Jason Tatum in the Eastern Conference Finals. But having this guy back healthy, of course, it does raise the ceiling of this current team. And look, the shots are going to start to fall, right? It's only his 3rd game back. Knicks 26 champs, has been on it since the beginning. A healthy Knicks team next season wins 65 games. Quote me on it. Yep, you're down in the record books now, so we will bring this back up. But yeah, I feel you. I'm excited for next season, but I'm excited for what lies ahead in the playoffs. I know this team they're not gonna lie down, and they ain't gonna die wondering as well. Yep. And it is a bonus that we won in Milwaukee. Absolutely right. This will sting for them. Best believe the fact that this was a heavyweight clash against East Beasts, right? But I think Orlando might finish above them and above Cleveland as well. For OG's effort tonight, he's going to get an A minus for me. If he hit shots, it would have been an A plus. Buzzer's gone with the B plus. What an X factor coming in. What a luxury. Michael's gone with the A plus. Yep, I can see that. I can see that, man. Shut down Giannis. Didn't have any impact as well. But I thought we defended well as a team. Right. Individually, guys played really well defensively in the second half. But I think as a team, we were really connected and switched on. And we needed to be. Because the first half was ugly. In part due to the referees as well. Because that was one of the worst officiated halves of the season. And that's saying something. But look, the Knicks continue to fight through it, and all the credit to Tom Thibodeau because he keeps this team not dropping their heads. He keeps them locked in, and the leaders of the locker room, JB, the Villanova gang as well, Hart, Divo. Right. Whenever you think, and just like Nick Yak said, I was one of them. At halftime, I thought, man, the Knicks are going to have to play one of their best halves to somehow pull this one out. And that's exactly what happened, right? We were down 11 at the half, and you thought, man, what are the ways we can win this ball game? We're not getting calls. Giannis is just getting every single foul call. Something has to change. And the Knicks just came out at the start of that third. It was like 11-point deficit in like a minute and a half or 2 minutes. It was back down to 5 as well. But the 3-point shooting was a big catalyst in that as well. And look, Deuce McBride hit huge shots. But before we praise the bench and look at them, let's talk about the remaining starter who came back after a bogus ejection. Hart had some words to say about that, right? And he laid in to Scott Foster, subliminally. And as so he should, man. It was one of the worst calls I've seen of the season. And ejecting this man, Jay Hart, he was just trying to find his balance. But Hart came back, right? He's invaluable to this team. And talk about another guy who does the dirty work. In terms of you really feel his absence when he's not on the court, right? I think he's shown how valuable he is when we lose the last game, he gets ejected, right? And I think a lot of fans realize now that if they didn't before, it's not just in the scoring with Hart, the efficiency. It's all the intangibles that he brings. Now tonight, Hart was 37 minutes, right? He had to guard Giannis on a lot of plays, especially in the post. And credit to him. He got 9 assists tonight, 9 rebounds, 0 turnovers, 7 points, and a +8, right, on 2 of 9 shooting. Yep. So, not going to lie, he does have the frustrating moments where you're thinking, like, he's holding onto the ball a little bit too long, or his shot selection is questionable. But then he just goes down the other end and gets you the ball back, and he's just so invaluable. And his toughness is what this team needs. I think he's akin to like a, and I'm not doing this to, compare them as players in terms of skills, but in terms of heart and hustle and what they symbolize for this team, I could see him as sort of a 90s kind of LJ, Anthony Mace, rest in peace, Charles Oakley, John Starks, of course, right? He's a lightning rod in terms of like, if you're down, your back's to the wall, he'll be the guy to pull you out of quicksand, right? And if you need a big play down the stretch, you need a tough play to come out and grab a rebound or something like that, to be that enforcer. Hart can do that as well, right? So we've seen it. Any team that goes deep into the playoffs needs a player like this, right? You do. And I think you saw it tonight for the Bucks. They are missing a guy like a Josh Hart who, doesn't need to put the ball in the rack, to make his impact, right? And he's definitely not soft. And he's a guy who he'll get floor burns as well. And like I said, it helps that he play makes as well. He pushes the break. He makes timely rebounds and plays to help his team come back, right? And once again, he's a lightning rod. He can change the momentum of the ball game. Now, for Hart, for me today, I mean, the 9 assists is brilliant. The rebounding is there. Out rebounds power forwards as well. Big time performance for Josh Hart as well. I'll give him an A- on the game. And in terms of his Knick legacy, he gets a crown there because, as I just talked about, I don't need to elaborate any further. I think his presence on this team is needed in terms of, right, a guy who will do the dirty work, right? It's no secret that DiVincenzo likes to shoot, swish. Brunson puts the ball in the rack. That's their role. Josh Hart's role is to slow down the opponents and to speed up the New York Knicks as well. He's a Swiss Army knife that every team needs, I feel like. What are you guys feeling about Hart's game? Buzzer says A- for the J Hart. Salute. To have 0 turnovers, I mean, that is just big as well. 9 assists on 0 turnovers, right? You love to see it. He's the kind of guy you understand why Tibbs will play a lot, because even if he's not hitting the shots, he can still help you win as well. So let's keep it buzzing, guys, and shout out the bench now, because huge performances from Deuce, Mitchell Robinson, and Bojan Bogdanovic, right? Big minutes to start the fourth when Brunson was sitting, and we needed, big time production to take the lead. 8-2 run. And let's talk about Deuce McBride first. He went 3 of 6. Did Deuce 2 of 4 from deep, 50%. Another night, another big shot from Deuce McBride from 3. Helped catapult the Knicks on that big run. 8 points on a +1. 3 steals from Deuce McBride. Right. He'll make multiple all-defensive teams if he stays in the league long enough, which he will. Deuce McBride will make multiple defensive type teams. 3 steals tonight. Right, as his minutes go up, and he's showing what he can do this season. Right, he's a most improved candidate. Right, there's no other way to describe it, because Deuce has taken his chance. He had the potential coming into the season. It's just all about opportunities, I think, in this league. And shout out to the believers early on, because a lot of people thought Deuce wouldn't, get the opportunities, but if he did, he would be able to do things like this, right? And he's proving people wrong on so many levels. Whenever he went down to the G League, he would, score 30, 40 points, in terms of people wanted to just see him get that chance. And this season, he's taken that chance. And credit to Leon Rose, the front office, for drafting him as well. Tibbs really loves Deuce because he had a say in Deuce getting drafted. So he's another Tibbs favorite, and I can see why. On this performance tonight, Deuce McBride went 3 of 6 from the field and 2 of 4 from deep. The 3 steals, big time. 8 points, just a solid game in 18 minutes for Miles McBride. Obviously, he's no longer in the starting unit, but we know he can come in or he can play with the starters, no worries as well. So he was on target, efficient tonight. What do you guys think for Deuce McBride's game and his recent stretch? Man, I have no hesitation playing him 30-plus minutes in the playoffs. The season has shown that he's ready. For me, I'm going to give Deuce a B+. Really solid game. You love the 3 steals, right? Help the Knicks on that run early in the fourth, and is really growing as the season goes along, man. I'm excited for the future, and his Knicks legacy is going up for Deuce McBride, right? Let me pull up the legacy crown. Because, he's a real player for the New York Knicks now, moving ahead, right? He's here for the long haul. And I would love to see Deuce McBride here for the championship, right? He complements Brunson really well. They play off each other well. He spaces the floor. And I think as the next stage of his career, if he grows in the playmaking aspect and creating shots off the dribble, then we're looking at a guy who might make an all-star team. And I think this season's shown the leap. Obviously, he's a ways off from that, no doubt about it. But I think if a player shows you this kind of leap in 1 year, and he's still really young, I think with the opportunities, he could definitely get to that point, right? Like I said, if he develops the shot creation off the dribble more, continues the 3-point shooting as well. But I could see multiple defensive teams made for a Deuce McBride. Some B++s coming through. Jet Life's in the building. What's up, fam? Jet Life for life. New York Knicks for life. McBride has surprised me this season. Me too, I'm not going to lie. I thought Deuce is a really good role player and a guy who, will step up as a backup. But this season shown me he can be a starter in the league. Right, and that's just beautiful for the Knicks. How many times can we say we've developed a good young player, to become what was a rotation player to a starter, who was drafted in the second round as well. Another guy with a chip on his shoulder, too. He's physical, he brings his lunch pail, and he plays with that chip, just like Jalen Brunson. If you look at their career trajectories, Deuce McBride's kind of career trajectory is quite similar to Jalen Brunson. Now, if you look at it, right, third year, getting his opportunities, underdog, was overlooked, second round, huge leap in 1 year. I mean, like I said, man, I won't be surprised if Deuce McBride, if we're talking about him, in a few years, him being a real, real all-star player, in this league. But he's got work to do still, and he's the man for the job. He gets after it. He has a really solid upbringing, and you could see why the Knicks organization is so high on this man, right? The 3-point shooting to me is the biggest skill set that's changed the course of the season for us. The amount of times Deuce has hit big threes, a lot of them were contested as well. And his playmaking has come a long way, right, from where it was. His decision-making as well. No turnovers tonight is key too. I mean, out of all the stats tonight, probably the fact that the Knicks only had 5 turnovers as a team on the road against what should be a good defensive team, the Bucks. I mean, credit to the guys for taking care of the ball, and finding good shots throughout that, man. 5 turnovers for the team, right? Amazing stuff, guys. Yep, the chat's buzzing. I see you, and we're gonna hit on Bojan Bogdanovic next, right? And then it'll be Mitchy, the block nest monster, on that. As the Knicks are on a roll tonight, and it's going to keep us rolling, I think, into the playoffs, right? And big performance from Bojan Bogdanovic, right? It was exactly what we needed on the road, right? We needed some shot making, we needed some guys stepping up, and Bojan Bogdanovic stepped up today. How did you see his performance, right? Copped the fair criticism after the last game. It was one of his worst games as a Knick, right? He looked out of sorts. The Bulls are more physical than the Bucks. Andre Drummond, Ayo Dosunmu, Colby White, all of those guys. It was a bad matchup for Bogey. But tonight he steadied, himself in terms of bouncing back. Defensively, he was okay, but the shot making, the decision making was big. And yeah, a part of that run early in the fourth, right? He had the confidence to let it fly, and that was big. Bojan Bogdanovic went 6 of 9 and hit the 1 3-pointer, which was a size up straight on over Bobby Portis. That was a massive shot to put the Knicks up 10. hit both free throws as well. Got the calls there. Got an assist and 15 points on a +5. So up there with Bogey's best game as a New York Knick. I kept the faith with Bogdanovic because I do think you're going to see games like this sprinkled in, and it's going to help you win playoff games, right? I think we've seen he's not the player he once was. That's clear. But I think he's got that clear skill set as a role player that the Knicks are going to need to win them a few playoff games, right? There's no doubt about it, right? Today he played 16 minutes, right? And you see, if he's hitting his shots, you'll get that opportunities, right? And the coach will keep him out there a little bit more. As Knicks 26 champ says, just 24 hours ago, some fans were crying about the front office should have trading for DeJounte Murray. If the Knicks lose another game, people will still be talking about it. But I'm just rocking with the guys we have because, right, there's no going back now, right? If you're a real fan, you support the team because we're doing something special this season, right? There's nothing perfect about any team. If you talk to a Boston Celtics fan right now, who are far and away leading the pack, right? If you talk to a Boston Celtics fan, there'll be something about the team that they're not happy about. Whether it's KP's health, or Tatum settling for jump shots, or Brown's streakiness, or whatever. A fan's always just going to be a fan, and they're going to want more for their team. But just sit back, enjoy the ride. This is something special, and we're close to achieving something we haven't achieved for 10 years. That's a long, long time. It really is. If you're not going to be able to enjoy this, you're probably not going to be able to enjoy anything. Because if you have to wait 1 decade to see a season like we're seeing, then you have to question, why are you a fan? If you're not able to enjoy this, it's tough, right? And we want to see, the Knicks go all the way. I understand. But, there's only one winner and there's 29 other losers every season. And winning the Larry O'Brien is difficult, right? But the Knicks are moving in the right direction. And this season's just been a huge success in terms of the regular season and a leap and setting foundations, right? Adding, knowing we've got guys capable of starting now in Isaiah, Deuce McBride, knowing we haven't had players healthy as well, knowing what OG Anunoby is capable of doing defensively and all of those things. There's so many feel-good stories so far out of the season. And yes, there's been the disappointments of the injuries as well. But how many times in the last decade have we made the playoffs with a great chance, to get past the second round, and a player who's playing at the level that Jalen Brunson is currently playing, right? We are witnessing history for the organization this season in terms of three-point shooting, scoring, and maybe even wins and losses record as well. So just sit back, enjoy the ride, fam, and just continue to root for the team, right? Root for their success. There'll be conversations had in the summer about what needs to be done, what has to change, if anything. But we might be sitting there with different questions in the off season after this postseason run, right? The thing about this trade with Detroit is it was boom or bust, right? It had the opportunity to be a bust, as always, when you make any trade, but it also had the opportunity to be boom. And when you're Leon Rose, you have to make a gamble, because the Knicks needed something. And he traded a couple pieces for what he thought was 2 pieces that, on their day could help the team out. And it's been underwhelming in terms of, them not helping us enough. But in terms of the bigger picture and the ceiling in the playoffs, like the potential is still there. I think with a guy like Bogdanovic, right, and that's magnified without Julius Randle. Yeah, because obviously he's got the extra size, he can space the floor like we saw tonight, right? They were hesitant doubling Jalen Brunson with Bogdanovic out there, right, and the other shooters because he can make them pay, right? And that's what you need, right? The respect and the gravity, right, that he pulls. I'm going to give Bogdanovic a B for this performance tonight. 6 of 9, 15 points. That's what we brought him in to do. And that is what we need more from Bogdanovic as well. Now, did he have a turnover? Bogdanovic went no turnovers as well. So, obviously, we had 5 turnovers as the team, right? So, that was great. +5 as well. So, it wasn't even in the minus. So, in a big win, Bogdanovic was a plus when he was on the court as well. Now, I said it's been underwhelming, but he still has the potential to help this team out. And I think he can be in the rotation, right? Even if it's 8 to 12 minutes in the postseason. His floor spacing with Deuce McBride, and even if he's playing with the starters, I expect him to just substitute for OG at the 3 or 4 spot. Fam, it depends whether a Precious Achua is going to get minutes in the playoffs as well. But as we saw tonight, Alec Burks, officially out of the rotation, was a healthy DNP today. So we'll talk about that in the road ahead, fam, in a minute. But yeah, solid B for Bogdanovic. Nothing we haven't seen before, but nothing crazy, but was just much better defensively. And I hit his shots as well. So really, really good help from the bench today. Deuce McBride, of course, got the B+. Now, let's talk about Mitch, because he had his best game since his return. Did the block nest monster and showed up late in this one, man. Stymieing Giannis Antetokounmpo. Mitch was on beast mode in this game late. Right, we'll talk about the free throws. Mitch can struggle, as we know. He's got to work on that in the off-season. He went 1 of 2 from the free throw, 0 of 2 from the field, right? But 3 critical blocks and 6 rebounds, 3 offensive in just 19 minutes was a +6 in the plus-minus. So, third game back, 19 minutes. Mitch is still a step little slow, rotating, but you see it start to come back. And tonight, man, he had critical blocks on Giannis. The rebounding, as we know, is a force in the playoffs to look at. And he is another big X factor for me, guys. What do you guys think in terms of Mitch? He'll get the Warrior badge and also a gold star for all defensive team player, right? This season, obviously the injury interrupted that, but we know, when he's healthy, he's leading the league in terms of defensive stats, right? Rim protection is elite, as we saw, man. Ask Giannis tonight. Giannis had no success going at Mitch in that one. In terms of the help blocks, him together with OG Anunoby, if they rotate together on the bench as well, that's a nice unit with Deuce McBride as well. And look, as I said when he first came back, I think the best is yet to come for Mitch, right? Don't judge Mitch on the first game or two that he came back. I mean, it was a long, long layoff, right? It was 4 months, and it was more than half the season. And he's a 7-footer, coming back from a leg injury as well. So all of that's going to return, the timing, the conditioning, and the feel around the bucket as well. Obviously, the free throws continue to hold him back, right? We always talk about that. He hasn't changed the shot form. Normally, a player will work on that in the summer. They won't, change things up mid-season. It just is what it is. But I think Mitch will come off the bench for the rest of the season. Obviously, you can't, you can't displace Isaiah at this stage. If Mitch's play, improves to the point where he's playing, at the way he was earlier, then that might be a possibility. But I don't see that happening this season as well. And my hope for Mitch is, he just continues to beast in the playoffs. And then we're talking about a future center tandem of him and Isaiah as well. A lot of people want to talk about it like it's one or the other sometimes when I think going into next season, it's a luxury to have both. And tonight, man, he changed the game for me. A really solid performance from Mitch. I'll give him a B on the game, man, in his 19 minutes. What do you guys think about Mitchie starting to look like the beast, the all-defensive team player? We'll talk about Cleveland in the off-season, I want to see how they look. But with Donovan Mitchell, there's no doubt we'll have more conversations about it. I don't think he's going to stay in Cleveland, Jet Life. I think Donovan Mitchell will have one more postseason run, and then I think the Cavs will have to change course with that. Shirley says, this was not a surprise to me with Deuce. I always picked him over IQ and said it from day one, and some Knicks fans chewed you out on that, but you stuck with the young man. Opportunity, man. As I said, it's the biggest factor in a player. Some players can do more, but some guys can't see it because they don't get the opportunities as well. So yeah, and as we see in the NBA, some players can develop rapidly in 1 year as well with the shot. The shot is a big swing skill for a lot of players as well. Some players are blessed to come into the league like Steph Curry and they just have the jump shot already there. But some players like, late in their careers or even early in their careers, they find the right form and the jump shot just becomes, excellent. A guy who sort of you can compare it to is Jason Kidd. He came into the league and couldn't hit a 3-point shot, and then he became, above average in terms of shooting. And as Deuce has said, it's all about the work. When you put the work in, things is possible, and that's like for Mitch with the 3-point shooting, with the free throw shooting. For Mitch, in terms of moving ahead, right? In terms of a Cleveland series, Orlando, I mean, Mitch is going to be huge because Orlando have, Mo Wagner coming off the bench. They've got Wendell Carter, Goga Batadze, and of course they've got other bigs as well. Paolo is big around the cup. Mitch is going to be huge in that series, and then against Cleveland as well. Also against Philly, if we do end up facing Philly, Mitch will be big, in that one as well. We don't know if Isaiah can go 38 minutes, 45 minutes, right? We'll see if Tibbs goes that way. But the good thing is Mitch has got 4 more games to sort of shake off some of the rust, and he'll improve his play, I think, every single game moving forward, right? So 3 key pieces off our bench: Bogey, Deuce, and Mitch. Precious Achiuwa, honourable mention, less than 5 minutes. Right, he'll get an incomplete with that one. Just too small of a sample. But Precious will be there as that on-call reserve backup. We'll see what the rotation looks like. But as I said last show, guys, I could see the 8-man that Tibbs is starting to really settle with. And he's starting to shrink maybe the 9th man's minutes, which was Precious tonight. But yeah, with Hart in the starting lineup back, I could see the playoff bench looking like Deuce McBride, Bogdanovic, and Mitchell Robinson, and a combination of 2 other wings playing with them. Or you play a Precious Achiuwa for 5 to 6 minutes, right, to spell one of those other wings. And I'm cool with that. I don't think there's any need to force Alec Burks in there. We saw how good it worked tonight with Bogdanovic playing with more of the starters as well. He's finding his rhythm, his chemistry. I think Bogdanovic, without Burks on the floor, the defense will look better as well. With Burks and Bogey, you can only play one of them on the court, at the same time, right? But obviously if Mitch is there, it's a big help. No doubt about it, rebounding-wise as well. And if Bogey has an off night, if Deuce misses, Mitch is there for the cleanup. Once his timing, gets better as well. Yeah, as Stanley says, with Donovan Mitchell in Brooklyn, looks like they are eyeing off Knicks assistant Johnny Bryant, who is really close to Donovan Mitchell as well. We know Brooklyn are rumored to go heavily after Donovan Mitchell as well. So, right, it's no secret Donovan Mitchell wants to be in New York, right? Obviously, he prefers the Knicks, but it's no given that the Knicks will go for it, or that Cleveland will trade him to the Knicks if we do. So Brooklyn, I think, yeah, could be a landing spot for Spider Mitchell, right? But I want to talk more about that after the postseason, because we need to see how everybody looks, right? Things will become more clear for me. But to round things out, right, on a buzzing night, Tom Thibodeau, right, made the calls at halftime, switched things up a bit, and it got the right matchups, right? Obviously, he was happy to have Josh Hart back, no doubt about it. But Tom Thibodeau coached a great game. I felt, obviously, the first half was shaky, but the Knicks to come out in that second half, outscore Milwaukee like they did, 39-24 in that third, man. We won the third quarter by 15 points after being down 11 as well. Got the right mix, kept Bogey out there for a little bit to cook, got Brunson back in at the right time to close it out, right? He outcoached Doc Rivers as well, which isn't that difficult sometimes, but the Knicks he pushed the right buttons, and the Knicks got it done, man. And it's a big win as well. So I'm going to give Coach Tibbs an A on this performance today, right? Sets us up. Now, there's no other way to describe it. This win will set up the New York Knicks with the 4 games remaining, man. 2 against Chicago, 1 against maybe the Boston Celtics reserves, and then 1 against the New Jersey Nets at MSG, man. The crowd is going to be crazy in that one, and the crowd is going to be crazy in the final game against the Chicago Bulls as well. I think we'll probably be playing our full-strength squad still, because I still think by that final game there's going to be playoff implications, right? I can't see the Knicks resting guys in that final game. Also, because the play-in tournament is going to take part, and the Knicks will have about a week's rest. So that is going to be big. What do you guys think of Tibbs? Stanley gives Mitch an A just for the blocks on Giannis. Yeah. Great call. Just great to see him impact the game like that. It is inspiring because let's not take this for granted, man. Mitchell Robinson was once ruled out for the season. The Knicks applied for the disabled player exception, and people thought Mitch is done for the year, right? Just to see him fight back and work back after surgery, missing like 4 months, come back and be such an impact in his 3rd game back or 4th game back. It's just inspiring. It's great. Great to see him. Another good story for the season, to have Mitch back, right? Some people forgot about what he's capable of doing because it's just been so long, since we had Mitch as well. But look, Tom Thibodeau smiling because to have a guy like a Mitch off your bench, to have a starter playing the level that they're playing, like Isaiah is playing as well, right? It's awesome, and those two are really good friends. So it's not one against the other. It's just whatever is best for the team right now. Clearly, Mitch cannot play 38 minutes, right? It would be derelict of duty to put Mitch in as the starter. He can't play that many minutes, but he's gonna factor in huge off our bench, right? And he's gonna beast against reserves as well. 29 minutes from iHeart. So I think that might be around the sweet spot, fam. 30 minutes for iHeart in the playoffs, 18 for Mitch. What do you guys think? Buzzer's coming with the A for Tibbs as well. Stopping Giannis was big. Yep. I like what Tibbs is doing offensively, not going to lie. I think one of the biggest improvements I wanted to see this year was how Tibbs best, deployed Jalen Brunson, right? A lot of criticism last season, remember, for ISO ball. Notice I've not heard one Knicks fan complain about ISO ball for the best part of the whole season. That's a credit to him, credit to Brunson for moving the ball, credit to Leon Rose for getting shooters, OG and Divo. But there was a big narrative that it was just ISO ball last season. Maybe a lot of it's because Randall's not here anymore and the ball needs to move a bit more. But also maybe it's just credit to the different looks, right? Yes, there's still a lot of the dribble handoff stuff, but there is a lot of unlocking the skill sets of Josh Hart, Isaiah Thomas, Isaiah Hartenstein, in terms of, distributing, right? As I go through the numbers once again, yes, Brunson had 8 assists, right? But look at Josh Hart's assists, 9. Look at Isaiah Hartenstein's assists, 1 tonight, but he's been really good for us this season, right? Dante DiVincenzo can move the ball as well, 3 assists, right? OG Anunoby with 2. So the ball movement has been better. The player and the cutting has helped that a lot. Michael's gone with the A plus for Coach Tibbs. Yep, really pleasing win, man. I know how much it would have hurt Tibbs to lose that Chicago game. Obviously, the return to Chicago where Tibbs had a lot of his success. Let's get it next game. Now, as we turn the page, fam, and I pull up the standings. Now, let's chop this up around the league. It was a big night for the orange and blue, fam, around the league as well. As we get close, man. Philly, everyone's jockeying for playoff seeding, and the Knicks took care of their business. Let's see who else took care of their business, fam. Once again, appreciate you for coming along. And replay squad, smash that like button. The streets are buzzing as Cleveland lost a narrow one by 2 points. That really hurt them. Miami lost as well. Big win by Indy as well. But luckily, the Knicks only have 32 losses, right? So we're still well and truly comfortable above them by 2 and 3 losses. Orlando took care of business. Shout out to former Knicks in the Raptors, picked up the win. Charlotte look like they're not going to be an easy beat as well. They're competing hard. Philly came back from behind in a double OT against the Spurs as well, right? But Philly have 35 losses. We only have 32 losses, which is why this win tonight was so huge, right? We're just 4 to play. Philly would basically have to win every single game, and we would have to lose every single game for Philly to catch us, right? With us ahead by 3 losses, right? 3 less losses. So, right, as long as we win 2 out of the next 4 at minimum, Philly won't be able to catch us, man. So what a successful season for the Knicks to finish above Philly. We might finish above Cleveland and Milwaukee. And who would have thought that coming in, right? A lot of people didn't even want to put the Knicks into the same kind of tier to begin the season, right? As we look at the different bracket now, the Knicks are in the 4th spot, and we would host Cleveland, which is the opposite of last season, how the tables have turned. Bulls and Hawks would face off in the play-in as well, and Philly, Miami. What a juicy play-in that is going to be, as the Knicks will be sitting back getting rest with their popcorn. I'm ready to watch these East play-ins, knowing that the New York Knicks are going to avoid the play-in most likely, right? There would have to be a less than 10% chance, less than 5% chance the Knicks make the play-in now with this win tonight, right? As we sit 46 and 32, tied with 3rd with the Magic. Obviously, the Magic have the tiebreaker. We're going to look now in terms of who the Magic play. But the big win over Milwaukee pushes the Knicks within 1 game of the 2nd spot, right? Now the Bucks will have the tiebreaker on the New York Knicks as well, because they've beaten us a couple of times this season. So for us to take over Milwaukee would have to be one game above them, right? But what is one of the best stories of the evening is Cleveland. Now we have the tiebreaker on Cleveland, and we also have one less loss than Cleveland, as I said, and we will look at their games remaining in a minute. But before that, Indy, 2 more losses, right? It's going to be tough for Indy to catch the Knicks, right? With the Knicks having 4 very winnable games. And then Philly, like I said, 3 losses back as well. And then the Miami Heat as well, 3 losses back. And Philly 2.5 losses back as well. So they'll be fighting in the play-in. If the Knicks had lost tonight, it would really create a lot more urgency for the next 4. But now it's quite clear the New York Knicks just do have to win 3 out of the next 4, and we should be great for the 4th spot at least. Right. So, what do you guys think, man? The streets are buzzing hard. This is Michael Drake. Yeah, coast to coast, worldwide. You know it. Buzzer says no ISO ball, but Brunson does spend a lot of energy on each shot. 100%, no doubt. A lot of players that are undersized as well do have to work harder, but other guys still have to work hard too, like your Jason Tatums, Donovan Mitchells. A lot of dribbling, a lot of finding your rhythm, finding your spot as well. Hopefully things get easier for him. When guys are hitting shots, I think that will open up the floor for Brunson. Normally nights when he has to work that little bit harder is because guys just aren't hitting shots and the defense is starting to close in on Jalen Brunson a little bit more as well, which is why the lineups are so critical. You know, if Tibbs can get these lineups going where it's OG, Divo, Deuce McBride, and Isaiah, I think that gives us maximum floor spacing. Obviously, Hart's going to have to be in one of these lineups, probably for Deuce, but you still got your 2 decent shooters outside of JB with OG and Divo as well. But if they're hitting shots, yeah, it's awesome. It opens it up. And then, yeah, there's Bogdanovic too. But you will need Bogdanovic's production off the bench to help the scoreboard ticking up. But look, 2 big franchises on the decline, right? The Bucks and the Cavs. This could be the best the Cavs are for a minute, right? If they lose Donovan Mitchell, right? Next season, it's fair to say that the New York Knicks will be weighing in at the 2nd best team in the East next season when fully healthy. Which is why, you know, Randall getting that surgery now, it's key, right? Next season is it for the Knicks championship windows. And that's putting aside the improvements that the Knicks can still make in terms of trades, drafts, and all of that. The Knicks will have 2 first-round draft picks and a decent second-round draft pick in the late 30s, potentially, from the Utah Jazz as well. So that's big. We traded the 31st draft pick, basically, which was the Pistons second-rounder, but we do have the Jazz second-rounder as well, right? But now for Cleveland's games remain, right? Cleveland played their 4th to last game tonight already. So not only is the Knicks half a game ahead of Cleveland with the tiebreaker in hand, but we also have a game in hand as well. So that is big. If we win our next game, that'll basically come very close to sealing that will finish above Cleveland, because they have to finish above us on the record because we have the tiebreaker as well. So, look, beat Chicago on Tuesday, and then I think Cleveland won't be able to catch us, right? And they're basically going to have to beat Grizzlies in Memphis, Indiana in Indy, and Charlotte in Charlotte. So the final 3 games of Cleveland's season is on the road, right? Huge road trip. Tough end to Cleveland's season. They were 2nd at times. They were 3rd. But they've just stumbled at the final hurdle for Cleveland. I could see them losing 1 or 2 more. And if the Knicks can win 2 out of their next 4, Cleveland can't catch us. Right? So very close to locking up home court with that, man. Great win tonight. And for me, it kind of erases the sour taste of the losses. San Antonio, the Thunder game, and the Sacramento game. Of course, we beat Sacramento. It was the other one. The I forget which team it was, but yeah, it's irrelevant now. This win was big, right? We took care of one of the toughest games remaining tonight, and the rest is more easier as we move along, man. What is your final record for the season now? Do we get to 50? Do you think we win 3 out of the next 4 and finish with 49? Right, I think that's probably a little bit more likely. Maybe we drop one more. I could see us maybe a 40% chance winning all 4. Maybe a 30% chance we go 3 out of 4. And with that said, after that, man, maybe a 10% chance 2 out of 4. And then another, maybe a 20% chance after that we go 2 out of 4. And 1%, a 10% chance we go 1 out of 4. Right. But hashtag 50 wins. David says 49. Great win tonight. Let's go Knicks. Yep. So once again, I think probably 40% chance remain for me that we win 3 out of 4. 30% chance we'll go 4 and 4. 20% chance we'll go 2 and 4, and 10% chance 1 out of the next 4 as well. Maybe even less than that, right? I can't see us winning only 1 out of the next 4, right? We're definitely going to get that final one against Chicago, right? I think that one against Boston might be easier than the next Chicago game, because Chicago will probably have Kobe White. They're showing that they're a pesky team. They're physical. Andre Drummond, we've got to neutralize him. We need a good performance from Mitch as well. But DeMario says 50. Salute. Great win. We're making that push. Yeah, I love it, man. Look, 50 would be symbolic. It would be great. But regular season, but postseason is where it's at. And look where this sits for the Knicks, man. Now we're in the tied 3rd, and a great chance, to even finish 2nd, 3rd possibly, and then most likely 4th. Now, we looked at Cleveland's schedule, right? They're basically going to have to win all 3 of their remaining games to have a chance to finish above us. Now let's look at the Magic's schedule, fam. So Cleveland will have games on the road in Memphis, Indy, and Charlotte, right? Now, for the Magic, they've got a couple winnable games, and a couple of 50-50 games as well. As I'm pulling up the Orlando Magic schedule right now. Orlando are the same record as us, so they'll have 4 more games remain. So, on Tuesday, Orlando will host the Rockets, right? So that's a very winnable game for them, but the Rockets can still pull that one out. Then Orlando will host the Milwaukee Bucks, right? I like their chances against the Bucks, although you do expect that the Bucks will be fighting for their life. So that is one positive, that the Magic will host the Bucks, then they'll host Philly, who will also be fighting for their life, and then they'll close out the season in Milwaukee, where you think in that final game, Milwaukee will be fighting for their life as well. You know what I mean? So, look, maybe it's strategic for Milwaukee. Maybe there's a reason Milwaukee also, yes, they are struggling, but maybe there's a reason they would want to fall down a little bit more and avoid playing Philly or Miami. Because, look, if the season were to end with the Bucks in 2nd, they're going to be hosting Joel Embiid or Bam Adebayo as well. If you're Milwaukee, would you really want that? Or would you want to really dip down to third and host in Indiana or host to Cleveland? So I'm not trying to suggest that's what they're doing, but there's a chance. I think Milwaukee are struggling, but 4 losses in a row. Man, let's see what they do in these final 4 games. But if I know personally, if I'm Milwaukee, I'm not wanting to host Joel Embiid or Bam Adebayo, right? I would prefer hosting Indiana or hosting Cleveland, of course, right? So it looks like it's not going to hurt the Bucks too much in terms of the playoffs, but they're not going to go far. I think they are defensive liability. Brook Lopez is aging as well as Dame, so that is a key factor. So yeah, that is the story for Orlando, my friends. They host Houston, and then they'll host Milwaukee, they'll host Philly, and then they end up in Milwaukee for their final game. So 2 out of their next 4, 2 out of the final 4 are against Milwaukee for Orlando. So that is gonna decide who finishes second, third, fourth. If the Knicks win out, they have a great chance of getting second as well, if Milwaukee continue to slide as well. So look, great incentive. I don't really hear a lot of people talking about Randall now missing the season. Unfortunately, we've come to grips with the reality, and the reality is that this team is still super competitive, and everyone's still excited for the playoffs. Yes, there is that asterisk on the Knicks, full strength, how far we could go. But I think the most important thing is to get home court first. I think round 1, the simpler we can make a round 1 victory, the better. If we get home court, win the first 2 games, try to end the series in 5, that is going to give the Knicks the best possible chance in the second round. If we end up in a dogfight in round 1, where it goes 6 or 7, I think that's going to be decisive as well. So I think matchups will be key. Best favorable matchup is obviously probably Cleveland. Orlando is still going to be challenging, but I think Indiana probably second. Indiana's probably second, Magic third in terms of preference. Obviously Philly and the Heat, it's going to be physical. They've got go-to guys as well. They've got heavy hitters. So that is going to be more challenging for me. But I don't think we have to worry about that now after this big win. David says, I think Indy's a bit dangerous for us, though. They play fast. Yeah, I think there is the concerns in the regular season. Yeah, they did play really well. They sped the game up. But I think the playoffs will be different. I think the Knicks will be able to grind it out more. Fam. And I think that suits us because they won't be as focused defensively as well. With Brunson, we can slow the possessions down. When we had OG, it was different playing Indiana. If we played Indiana without OG, we're in serious trouble. Because Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, I think OG, as I said earlier in the show tonight, OG and Mitchell Robinson are 2 of the biggest X factors. They might not be in minutes or production, but for the defensive purposes, they are huge X factors for us. And then I think most other Knicks offensively are X factors like Deuce McBride, Hart, DiVincenzo, Brunson, and Bogdanovic as well. But yeah, I think everyone on this Knicks team knows their role. You're either a two-way player, or you're more reliant on your offensive side or defensive side. But each Knick has their role to play. And I think if we all play as a team, like we did in the second half tonight, we get through to the second round. And then I think all bets are off, right? Second round, it could go any way. It could be who's injured, who's matching up with who. It's going to be interesting to see. But look, I mean, as we talked about tonight, Jalen Brunson, man, the closer, the legacy with him, we could be witnessing something special where he carries us to, maybe to the Eastern Conference Finals. Because as we're seeing in the past, guys, when a player is hot, they are hot, and there's nobody shutting them down right now. We saw that with Jimmy Butler last season's run, where he blitzed Giannis and the Bucks, and then they beat Philly on the road to the Eastern Conference Final. And I'm looking at a player like Jalen Brunson, thinking he can go on that same tear that Jimmy Butler did last season, and we have the defensive anchors surrounding a Jalen Brunson as well. So, yeah, things are going to get really, really interesting as we get closer to the end of this season. But this win has really changed the course of the postseason for me. We lose tonight, and we're really staring at a 5th or 6th seed possible play-in. With this win, it's looking more likely of a 2nd, 3rd, 4th seed and home court in the playoffs. But the next game is just as important. If we beat Chicago on Tuesday night, with just 3 games remain after that are very winnable, 2 of them at home, that is key, ladies and gents. So let's keep it buzzing. What do you guys think? Michael says, I think we can get to the 50 wins. No doubt about it. David says, Orlando, Milwaukee play each other twice. The 2nd seed is not impossible for us. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, the fact that those 2 are duking it out, that's great for us too, fam, as well. Now, I think Chicago, in terms of what they're fighting for in the next game, Chicago can't catch the Heat. So Chicago can't climb any higher than 9 because they're 6 games back. But what they can do is they can fall down to 10, and they have to travel to Atlanta in a sudden death playoff. So yeah, best believe Chicago is going to be desperate on Tuesday night. But we're going to be desperate as well because we just lost to them, and a revenge is on our mind. Well, for me anyway. So, unfortunately, the Bulls still do have a lot to play for. They don't want to fall down to 10 as well. If they can continue winning, that's going to be key. You only get 1 game. If you're the 9-10, you have to win it. And you don't want to travel to Atlanta, right? You would rather host, I think. So, yeah, best believe the Bulls are going to think that they've got the blueprint. I think the Bulls will try to do similar things as they did last game. They'll ride DeMar DeRozan. Andre Drummond will get physical and be a real pest in the paint. We have to put a body on him. And we're going to need OG Anunoby to really lock down DeMar DeRozan and Ayo Dosunmu as well, right? And if that Javonte Green goes off again, then the Knicks have themselves to blame because he's on the scouting report now. That Javonte Green killed us in the last game, right? We can't have that. We can't have that again. And of course, the best thing though is Josh Hart will be playing in that one. So, I think we probably beat Chicago if Hart does not get ejected. That changed the game for me, right? You keep Josh Hart out there with OG, with the centers, Deuce McBride. Defensively, we've got enough to stop and slow them down. But we do know, guys, it's very difficult to win these win two in a row in these home and home series. So look, I would give the Knicks the edge in that one. I'd be surprised if the Knicks don't pull the next one out. Obviously, the final Chicago matchup is back at MSG to close the season out. The crowd is going to be on a high. We're going to be riding just on adrenaline on that night. We'll probably still be fighting for a seeding, but knowing that we'll have a week's rest for the play-in tournament to take place, I think that final game is basically just a win. You can give that to the Knicks straight away. That final game of the season. But the Boston one is the most interesting for me because Boston, third to last game, they're not playing for anything. So I'll be surprised if they do play guys big minutes. They'll probably play, most of their guys still, but maybe close their minutes a little and shut guys down maybe in the third quarter. We'll see. We'll see what happens in that one. But Boston's not fighting for anything right now. So, But with the long rest of the play-in tournament, all of that, I don't know if Joe Mazzulla will want to rest guys for so long. You know, if he rests guys for the full 3 games remain, and as well as the week's rest, that's going to be a long break for Boston as well. So I'll put that as a 50-50, the Knicks Boston on that final third game. And then of course it's a back-to-back though. Brooklyn, they're just going to play for pride. I think those guys will be there to try to crash the party. Brooklyn can't make the play-in. Their season's a wash, man. They've got no draft pick, no prospects for postseason. They're just going to be throwing rotation dudes out there to try to spoil the party, I think. But the Knicks should take care of the final 2 at least, right? So these next 2 are house money, but let's take care of business and let's win 50 wins and get the 2nd seed. I think that'll be big. But knowing that the Knicks might face Philly, if they do finish in 2nd seed, I probably want to finish 3rd, to be honest with you guys. Knowing that 2nd seed might get us Philly with Joel Embiid, that's going to be more tough than facing Indiana in the 6th spot. But let's see. Philly could still catch Indiana as well. So these final games, we might be able to make a decision based on what we prefer. But we're going to have to see what happens, what shakes out as well. Yeah, watch out for that back-to-back, Buzzer says, yeah. And look, as I said, I know we want to win 50 wins, but it's better to look at who we want to face rather than how many wins. Because as I just said, I don't want to be facing the Heat in the first round because they know how to play Jalen Brunson, right? And then of course, if you've got Philly with Maxey and Embiid, well then they've got 2 of the best 3 players on the court in that series, right? They've got 2 out of the best 3 players on the court in that series. So that is tough, but I would take my chances against Cleveland, Orlando, or Indy for me. And we make history. We keep it buzzing on that one, man. We're riding the wave of this postseason. Now, we can do something special this season with the 50 wins and hopefully go further than the 2nd round. I'm hyped. Big win, a statement win tonight in the East. Right, it's Jalen Brunson's 43 points. Put the Knicks on his back together. It says, come with me, man. We're going all the way. Deep into a postseason run now. Right, this is what we do this for. Playoff ball. Right, coming now. 4 games remaining. As the Knicks got some good tune-ups to get ready for what's going to be a huge first round matchup. We wait to see who it's going to be, fam, but right, whoever it is, they don't want to play us. Best believe that. Things are going to get physical. It's going to be a hard-fought series, but guys are starting to click now, as we saw tonight. Hitting shots, defending better. Great second half to close this one out in the Brew City. And what a sweet victory to beat my Milwaukee. And let's continue this climb up the East. Maybe 3rd, 2nd. We'll see what these Knicks can produce, right? But shout out to the squad and the coach for getting the job done, fam. Now let's go to Chi-Town and put the beat down on the Bulls, right? I remember that last game, man. It was frustrating. And let's get them back, man. Let's push the Bulls back down to 10 and say, take that, Bulls. Head to Atlanta for your first game, right? And let's win it and ride this momentum through to the postseason, fam. Once again, appreciate you guys coming out. And Replay Squad, salute. Chat, salute. Knicks Nation, salute. Streets are buzzing. Smash that like button. 50 wins, here we come. And JB, man, got us buzzing. Let's get it. Salute. We'll see you on post-game live on Tuesday night after Chicago. Let's chop this thing up. Peace.